Hi and welcome back to the Tech Mentor. In this tutorial, I will show you how you can use macros in Microsoft Excel to speed up repetitive tasks, to automate repetitive tasks that you might do on a daily or weekly basis. So in this case, I've got this massive report of 500 different customers with their weekly sales, and I need to change it to look like this every single week. I need to do the same thing because this is the way my boss wants it, and the data that I get looks like this. So we are going to use a macro. We are going to record everything that we do so that every week I don't need to manually do this. I can just run the macro and it would automatically do that. So what a macro basically does, it records everything that you do, your keystrokes, your clicks, when you delete something, when you add something, when you change the font, the color, the formatting, anything that you do, it records, and then it runs that macro based on the data. So the first thing that we need to do is to access the developer tab, because the developer tab is where you get your macros. You will see on the new Microsoft 365 versions of Excel, there is a tab here that says Automate. Automate is for Office scripts. So this basically works more or less the same as macros, but you can have a look at my video on automated scripts. This video specifically is only about macros. So to access the developer tab, you can just right click on any one of these and you can say customize the ribbon, and we'll click here on the right on developer, and I'm just going to switch off the automate for now. If you want to know how to access the developer tab on a Mac, because this is on Windows, just read through my description. I've put the instructions in there for you. Then we'll go to the developer tab, and then you'll see your macros and Visual Basics. So everything that you record, Excel saves as a VBA code, Visual Basics for Applications code. I will briefly go in there afterwards just to show you what the code is like, what the code looks like. But in this video, it's just a tutorial for beginners to help you to get started with macros, and we're not going into the finer detail of Visual Basics. So to start recording a macro, we'll simply just say record macro. You'll give the macro a name. So we will say customize sales report. So I've used underscores here because the macro name is not allowed to have spaces. So it needs to all be connected. So I just put the underscores there in place of a space, and a shortcut key. This is just to quickly run it. So I will make this R, so it will be Control-Shift-R. Now, where do you want to save it? The standard option for you will be this workbook. If you save it in this workbook, it means that the macro can only run in this workbook. You can do that if you're only working with one workbook. In this case, I'm going to save it to a personal macro workbook. So all the macros that you run, doesn't matter what workbook you're working on. If you select personal macro workbook, it would save everything in that workbook, and you can access all your different macros from all your different workbooks. And we'll just put a description in here. Customize report from raw data to correct format. Okay, and as soon as you click OK, the macro will start recording. So as you can see there, it's now recording. So what we need to do first is just insert a line here, and then we will say equals. This is weekly sales report. Oh, sorry, let me just change that. Sales report for week ending, space, quotes, and text, So we want to use this week ending date here, and we want the format to be day, month, year. If you want to learn a bit more about functions and formulas, I've got a full 4-hour course on my channel that you can have a look at, and I cover all these types of formulas and functions in there. Okay, so as you can see there, sales report for week ending 28 March 2025, it would take this date here automatically. Next thing we want to do is change this to customer name. We want to change this to account number. We want to change this to discount. This one to region. And this one to weekly total. Now, the reps, I don't want them as a rep code. I want them to be saved as the name of the reps. So what I will do here is just highlight this. I'll do find and replace. So I will replace rep 001 with the name of the rep, which is Chris. Just say replace all. 2 is Lydia. Replace all. 3 is Benny. 4 is Brit. And 5 is Alan. Replace all. Then close this. Say rep there. Then the discount I want as percentage. Now, if you just click on percentage now, it will basically multiply that by 100. So we don't want to do that. So the first thing we'll do is take this, divide it by 100. I'll just copy this down all the way to the end. I'll copy that and I'll paste the values only. Delete this and make this percentage, and just like that. Now I do not need these columns anymore, so I'll delete that. Sorry about that. I need to first copy this and paste it as values only, and then I can delete this. Okay, then I want to merge this across. I want to make it 13 bold. I want all of these to be bold. I want this all to be center. I want this to be center as well. Okay, then I want a different little tab on the side here where I say sales rep and weekly total, and we will have Benny, Britt, Alan, and Lydia. We'll put in a total of this here, and the area and the total. We have north, east, west, south, and central, also with a little total here. And then these ones and these ones we want bold. Now I'm just going to apply a formula here so that it calculates all Benny's sales, and we'll just do the rest of them all the way down, and the same for the areas. So we'll say equals sum if. Okay, so we're working on this range here. Just go all the way to the bottom. So that is the range that it's going to work from. we need to make this an absolute reference. And if the name there is, if the name there is any, it needs to add this range here. I'm just going to pull it down. As you can see, there's 500 lines here. This absolute reference again. And then we will just draw this down to there. I'm simply just going to copy this here, paste it, and change the column to column E, which is the area. Okay. Then I want to change the number format to accounting, and I don't want any symbol. And the same with this. Let's just roll to the bottom, select all of them, change this to accounting, symbol, and then the entire sheet I want Arial, and I want to just auto size the column widths, and these two need to be bold. Okay, so that is basically the way my boss wants it. Oh, sorry, the last thing I want to do is to just sort this by customer name and not by account number, because the way I get it is sorted by account number. So we'll go data sort. We'll change this to customer name. Just make sure that you tick my data as headers, and you select from customer name, from A to Z. I want this to have a filter on. Let's just sort it again. Sorry, size it again. And then I want this to be sorted based on the weekly total from largest to smallest. And the same here. Sort weekly total largest to smallest. And this is exactly how it should look. So it's basically similar to this one. Don't worry about that there. That's just to show which rep is which code. Exactly like this. We can go back to developer and we can just say stop recording. So now this macro is saved. You can always go in here and you can see that it's saved in your personal macro workbook. But now this is 14 and I accidentally made it 13 here. So in order to change the settings in a macro, we'll have to go to the developer. The first thing you need to do is to go to view, and you need to unhide your personal book. I've already done that. So you will see that my personal one is open here automatically because I saved it in there. That would be the first thing, because you might not be able to edit it if it's hidden. So go to your developer, we'll go to the macros, and we'll click edit on this macro here. Now this is basically what was captured. As you can see here, all of this is captured. So every time it starts, it would start with a new one that says with. If you want to add a note in here, you can just say you have to use an apostrophe, and then you can type what it does in this specific thing. So we'll say this alignment like that, and you'll see it highlighted green, so it won't affect anything to do with the code. So right here it makes the size 13, so we'll change this to 14 and just save it again, so that we know that the next time we run the macro it will do it as 14 and not as 13. Okay, and then to save this we'll have to save as, and we will change it to a macro-enabled workbook. Otherwise, the macros won't run on it, and we'll save that. So now that's basically how you create the macro. Now I'm just going to, let's just open the data like you receive it. So you now receive the data like this. This is how you get it. You don't want it like this. It's now the next week. You're not going to do all that work again. Our shortcut for the macros, you can always just go to the macros, see them there. You can double click on it or say run, or we can just use our shortcut, which is Control Shift and R. And there we go. In a couple of seconds, it basically did everything for you. Now you can copy everything here, go to your report, go to the week ending and paste it in there, and it is ready to send. There will be a link for this book, the completed one, in the macro format, and the raw one like I started in the description, so you can download that and practice. You can play around and just test out. The best thing with macros is just to play around and see what you can do with it. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Excel tutorials.